What do your Wi-Fi and NASA's radars have in common? A lot more than you might think. Have you ever been frustrated by your Wi-Fi watching that spinning icon of doom as you try to stream a movie? It feels like the signal can barely make it through a single wall. Yet, at this very moment, a NASA engineer might be using a signal fundamentally similar to your Wi-Fi to send commands to a rover billions of miles away on Mars. How can the same type of energy that struggles to reach your kitchen be used to traverse the vast emptiness of space? The answer is both surprisingly simple and incredibly complex, and it all comes down to a hidden world that surrounds us every second of every day. Today, we're going to connect your home to the cosmos, revealing the invisible threads that link your everyday devices to the farthest reaches of scientific exploration. This hidden world is the electromagnetic spectrum, a continuous range of energy that includes everything from the long, lazy radio waves used for AM broadcasts to the intensely energetic gamma rays from cosmic events. Your eyes can only perceive a tiny, colorful sliver of this spectrum called visible light. But just beyond the red light we can see lies an enormous invisible landscape of energy. Within that landscape is a particularly bustling and versatile region, the microwaves. When you hear microwave, you probably think of the appliance that heats your leftovers. And you're right, that's one application. But your Wi-Fi router, your Bluetooth headphones, the local weather radar, and even the systems that guide airliners safely to the ground, all operate within this same microwave neighborhood. Think of the electromagnetic spectrum as an entire planet. The microwave portion is like a massive continent-sized city. It's a prime piece of real estate, and everyone wants to build there. To prevent total chaos, international agreements have zoned the city into specific districts or bands for different purposes. Your home Wi-Fi is given a small local plot of land in a district known as the ISM band, a sort of unlicensed public park where devices can operate freely, as long as they play by the rules and don't shout too loudly. But just down the block, in a highly restricted government-only zone, you'll find the powerful radars that track storms and the colossal dishes of the deep space network, shouting with immense power across the solar system. They all share the same fundamental physics, but they live in very different parts of town, with vastly different rules, power levels, and purposes. In this journey, we'll explore these invisible territories. We'll uncover why your Wi-Fi and your microwave oven ended up as next-door neighbors at 2.4 gigahertz and debunk some common myths about how they work. We'll look at the different flavors of radar, from the S-band systems that see through rain to the X-band systems that create detailed maps of distant worlds. We'll see how engineers use these waves to talk to probes at the edge of the solar system, where a signal can be weaker than a single snowflake landing on the ground. And we'll discover how we manage to coordinate this cosmic traffic to prevent your video call from interfering with a mission to Jupiter. From the router in your living room to the rings of Saturn, the story of microwaves is the story of modern communication. So, let's tune in and explore the spectrum. Have you ever stopped to think about the invisible world humming all around you? Every time you connect to your home Wi-Fi, you're tapping into a specific slice of the electromagnetic spectrum. Your router likely broadcasts at 2.4 gigahertz, and maybe also at 5 or 6 gigahertz. But that 2.4 gigahertz frequency is special. It's not just for Wi-Fi, it's a bustling, chaotic, and fascinating place known as the ISM band. And the story of how our internet came to live there is one of pragmatic engineering, historical quirks, and a little bit of organized chaos. To understand why, we need to rewind the clock. Long before Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or even the internet itself, international bodies like the International Telecommunication Union, or ITU, were tasked with a monumental challenge: organizing the radio spectrum. Think of it as a finite natural resource, like land. Different frequencies are like different plots of land, each with unique properties, and everyone from radio broadcasters to military operations to air traffic control wanted their own piece. Without rules, the airwaves would be a useless cacophony of interference, with signals trampling all over each other. So, the ITU created a global zoning plan, licensing specific frequencies for specific purposes to ensure clear communication. But there was a problem. Certain types of equipment, particularly in industrial and medical fields, were inherently noisy. They weren't designed to communicate, but they generated a lot of radio frequency energy as a byproduct of their main function. For example, industrial microwave heaters used for drying materials, and medical dothermy machines that use high-frequency energy to heat deep tissue for therapeutic purposes were major sources of interference, forcing these devices to have perfect, expensive shielding to contain all their radio noise would have been prohibitively expensive and slowed down innovation. The solution, established in 1947, was brilliantly simple. Instead of trying to eliminate the noise, the regulators decided to contain it. They designated a few specific frequency bands as, essentially, radio frequency junkyards. These were the industrial, scientific, and medical, or ISM bands. The core rule was simple: anyone could operate equipment within these bands without needing a complex, expensive license, as long as they were willing to accept any interference they might receive from other devices sharing the space. It was a trade-off. You get free access, but you don't get any protection. The 2.4 GHz band became the most famous of these ISM bands, largely thanks to one revolutionary household appliance: the microwave oven. Microwave ovens work by blasting food with radio waves at a frequency of about 2.45 GHz. This specific frequency is excellent at exciting water molecules, causing them to vibrate and generate heat, which is how your food cooks. Since these ovens were going to be in millions of homes, and perfect shielding is impossible, it made perfect sense to place their operating frequency right in the middle of the unlicensed 2.4 GHz ISM band. This way, the leakage from every microwave oven in the world would be contained within this designated noisy zone. For decades, the ISM band was a quiet backwater of the spectrum, populated mostly by microwaves, industrial sealers, and a few niche scientific instruments. Then, in the 1980s and 90s, a new revolution began: personal wireless communication. Engineers looking to create technologies like cordless phones, and later, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, needed a place on the spectrum to operate. Getting a dedicated licensed band would have been a slow, bureaucratic, and incredibly expensive process, but the ISM band was just sitting there, open for business. It was a perfect regulation-free sandbox for innovation. So, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth were designed from the ground up to live in this chaotic environment. They use clever techniques like spread spectrum and channel hopping to navigate the noise. They're built to be resilient, to shout over the hum of your microwave oven, and to politely take turns with your neighbor's network. This is why your home Wi-Fi operates at 2.4 GHz. It's squatting in a space originally set aside for industrial machinery and medical equipment. As demand for faster speeds grew, Wi-Fi expanded into the less crowded and wider 5 GHz and 6 GHz bands, which are also governed by similar unlicensed rules. But its heart, and its history, began right here, in the wonderfully messy, brilliantly pragmatic world of the ISM band. No, water doesn't magically resonate at exactly 2.45 GHz. Ovens use that frequency due to regulations and practical engineering, not because of one perfect resonance. Many weather radars like NEXRAD operate in the S-band, around 2.4 GHz. They are close to 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi, but in different regulated segments to avoid interference. NASA, for deep space, mostly uses X-band and Chi-I band. These bands allow for narrow beam antennas and high data capacity. Synthetic aperture radar missions also use these regions, for example, S-band SAR to study vegetation, coastlines, or Earth's dynamics. So, if all these devices, from your Wi-Fi router to a weather radar miles away, to a deep space probe phoning home, are using the same fundamental electromagnetic spectrum, why isn't it a chaotic mess of interference? If they're all close in the microwave part of the spectrum, why don't they constantly clash and drown each other out? The answer is a complex but elegant dance of global coordination, clever engineering, and strict regulation. Think of the radio spectrum not as an open field, but as a meticulously planned city, with highways, local roads, and private driveways. Every signal has its designated lane. This entire system is built on the principle of spectrum management, overseen by international bodies like the International Telecommunication Union, or ITU, and national regulators like the FCC in the United States. The first and most fundamental tool is high power. Critical services like broadcast television, cellular networks, and especially government and military systems like air traffic control radar, operate in licensed bands. Companies and agencies pay enormous sums or are granted exclusive rights to use these specific frequency blocks in a given geographic area. This exclusivity is the ultimate guarantee against interference. It's like owning a private road. No one else is allowed to transmit there. Then you have the unlicensed bands, like the ISM bands, where Wi-Fi and Bluetooth live. Here, the rules are different. It's a public highway, open to everyone. But to prevent gridlock, there are strict traffic laws. The most important one is your Wi-Fi router is legally capped at a very low transmission power, typically around 1 watt. This ensures its signal is strong enough for your home but becomes negligible just a short distance away, preventing it from interfering with your neighbor's network, let alone a sensitive radio telescope. In contrast, a deep space communication dish or a weather radar might operate with thousands or even millions of times more power, but they are in their own separate licensed lanes. Another crucial technique is the use of these are narrow, unused frequency ranges deliberately left empty between adjacent channels or bands. They act like the median strip on a highway, providing a buffer to prevent signals from spilling over and bleeding into their neighbors. Even the best transmitters aren't perfectly precise, so these guard bands absorb the slight imperfections, ensuring clean separation. Engineers also employ sophisticated. Every radio receiver is designed with highly specific filters that are tuned to listen only to their designated frequency. Think of it like wearing noise-canceling headphones that are programmed to only let in one person's voice in a crowded room. A receiver for a GPS satellite, for instance, has filters that aggressively reject any signals outside of its narrow band, even if those signals, like from a nearby TV tower, are much stronger. Finally, there's radio waves can be oriented or polarized, vertically, horizontally, or in a circular pattern. By assigning different polarizations to different signals, even in the same frequency band, receivers can be designed to be sensitive to one and effectively blind to the other. It's like two sets of people having conversations in the same room, but one group is speaking English and the other is speaking Mandarin. If you only understand English, the Mandarin conversation is just background noise. So, while Wi-Fi, radars, and deep space links may seem close on a chart, they are kept apart by this multi-layered strategy of licensing, power limits, guard bands, filtering, and polarization. It's a testament to a century of radio engineering and international cooperation that allows our wireless world to function. Try this at home. Saturate your 2.4 GHz network by connecting several devices at once and measure the congestion. You'll see how the quality changes without opening the microwave. From your kitchen to deep space, same physics, different bands. That's how your Wi-Fi and radars connect without getting in each other's way. If you like this, subscribe to Pulse Nucleum and share. Next up, Internet on the Moon.